saying, I just said I need to sit there for a second though, because this stuff I got to look on the computer for. Peace, Super Heru family. How y'all doing? I'm your host, Aseer the Jugateers, along with my co-host, Selena, the Empress of 10,000 Years. Along as the Empress of 10,000 Years. Along with my other co-host, Side, all of the human families of the planet Earth. We want to say love and light, and to make sure that everybody is where they need to be, inshallah. Thank you guys for tuning in again to Super Heru Radio. And for those people who have been checking Truth Be Told on YouTube, hosted by Selena, the Empress of 10,000 Years, featuring Aseer, myself. Thank you guys for all the support. It's been really, really cool, and we've been meeting a hell of a lot more people as we've been getting a lot of shares and a lot of good traffic and information. Being that we're striving to be in a position where Moorish lifestyle as well as Moorish customary law, meaning how we live our lives as Muslims and as knowledgeable people about our history, culture, and creed, we definitely want to give respect to every and anybody who's really on that. Not those people who we call conscious satellites, meaning people who satellite this knowledge, the satellite aspects of this, meaning they revolve around it and transmit whatever limited information that they can glean from the surface, but in actuality not really dealing with the full scope of what it is we're building on. What it is we're building on is the fact that we as ancestral and as original people have, for the past however many years that's been going down, we want to be in a position where we define ourselves and we understand that we are at the best time in the world in position of life to even be able to do so, because this is the first time, or we are the first incarnates who have incarnated at a time of clear, decisive, and direct action. So, again, love and light to the ancestors coming all the way out from Sirius A, Sirius B, Sirius D, all the way out there and bringing further in as we come into the inner universe, and we accept the fact that we are more than we were yesterday. So for anybody who lost any loved ones between now and the last time we spoke, attention. You know what I'm saying? Definitely hit me up. And let's give each other the respect in due course that we all deserve. Being that, in the end, we really all we got. But the we talk about is not the video game, not the we, but the we, meaning myself and I. You know what I'm saying? So, based on that, you know, there's a lot of things going down, such as this war that basically has been brewing outside for a while now. You know what I'm saying? And being that we are, again, the bulwark of what most people have defined or to be defined as real, hey, what's up? Hey, fam, you not there? Yeah. Now that we have put ourselves in a position to fully accept the parameters of our ascendancy, this is the basic or the best time for us to be able to supply what it is we need to bring that to bear. So based on the fact that there have been so many things in this society, in this world, that have been creeping up on us to make us doubt our accepted and put out there to the human families of the planet Earth. It is up to everybody else to acquiesce to the fact of who and what we really are. The fact that as much as everybody wants to be the same, as much as people want to act like the word equality means everybody being equal in the same way, we know that that's not true. Because if that was the case, then the people who are not equal, or the people who have been making it so that way everybody has to basically phase out what it is they perceive to be reality, have been now in a position for the past couple of years to now fall out of that same reality that they've basically tried to pigeonhole us in. So anybody who's 12 years, the movie 12 Years a Slave, I haven't. I'm boycotting shit. But for those people who have seen it, you would know then that there is a definite difference between them people that they showing in that movie and then those of us that were supposed to be slaves here. Now, in that movie, where I'm peeping, they gave you the real G, but you didn't really qualify it in the sense that all of the slaves in it were from Africa. So what that movie says to me is that that movie was about Africans enslaved in America. See that? That's her pops. That's why. That's real talk. So essentially, now that we are defining ourselves as our true selves, whether or not all the rest of the so-called black people believe it, what we have to understand is that we were mixed in with everybody else. That there was a contingent of us that was never and have never been from the direct continent they call Africa. Now, if you ask me if I'm a North African or of North African descent, you know what I mean, I can agree to that because we know that we, the Moors, are from the Maghreb. Al-Maghrebia, Al-Aksum, Al-Shekamexum, Al-Amazon. So that's where we from. You dig? That represents the Africa or the Morocco of the farthest west. That was the part of Morocco or the Morocco that was not under the Sultan's direct jurisdiction. It was not, as they say, bled as Meccan or Mezkin. It was bled el Siba, meaning the land of the lawless, those of us who are not outside or not under the jurisdiction of anyone other than the Most High, the great God Allah. So it is our contention and our understanding that we, at this stage in the game, are our own best friend and worst enemy. We are the ones who are constantly working for our liberation, while at the same time, just as we are doing that, there are a lot of us that are working against that very fact. And this is an ancestral thing that ain't got nothing to do with the white man. It ain't got nothing to do with the Asian man and everybody else that came in the planet. It ain't even got nothing to do with the Africans. This is about something with us, something that we have yet to qualify or really diagnose to the point that we are actively doing something about it as a people. When you look at a lot of original people around you, it look like they just done gave up. You know what I'm saying? And the sad thing is that this is the best time for us to actually be alive, because this is the time where we're actually seeing Babylon, the baby lion, actually starting to get spanked by all of its outside predecessors and people on the outside of it. You're looking at what's going down with this Ukraine thing. But anybody who really wanted the knowledge on that, all you got to do is go online and go to aseerthejuketeers.com and know that I did a DVD on this. I think in 2003, 2004 at the National Black Theater called Red China Rise in World War V. And in that DVD specifically, we dealt with the coming war, I would say, is World War V, just based on all of the Cold Wars that they've had in between those times. But specifically, having a situation to be able to build and let people know that there's another thing going on with this, that what you're seeing is not necessarily war. What you're really seeing is the theater of war. And the theater of war is based upon the fact that most combatants in that war technically are working together. Everybody's like, oh, what happened to the plane? Where's the plane? The plane disappeared. The plane. Well, let's think about it. Let's analyze it. There was a referendum that came out of the Socialist Republic a little while ago that basically said that they would basically start to subsidize any debt any so-called countries had that were prolonged, what they refer to as prolonged debts held over them by imperial powers of the West. So what that did was that opened up the frame. What that translates to basically is saying that anybody who got a debt with the United States, y'all know how the United States do when it comes to their money. They don't have no money, but what they want to do is regulate everybody else in the world's money. So anybody that has a debt to them or feel that their debt to them is unjust, you can come to the Soviet Socialist Republic or any of its satellite countries, meaning any of the countries that are in league with it. That would be China, that would be Iran, that would be North Korea, right? That was Syria, right? So what began to happen was they started to put out these subsidies and then began to basically buy the VIG. If people don't know what a VIG is, anybody who's ever into organized crime or anything like that, you know the VIG stands for the term vigorish. Vigorish represents the debt on top of the interest owed on the debt. So if you owed $25,000, then technically the VIG on that $25,000 would be at least $75,000 you'd have to come up with. And then every day after, it goes up. This is basically another way of extortion or ransoming. But essentially, this vigorish was then put into effect. Therefore, what countries started to do was take advantage of that. One of the first countries to take advantage of the fact that Russia and the Soviets were basically willing to pay off the United States debts, basically to put the United States back in their debt, was Syria. Egypt was in negotiations for that as well. And you see it to both of these countries. This is where the color revolution. Now, color revolution means that it's not a real revolution. It's something colorable that was instigated through sleeper assets, which are traitors to their own people and race that exist in these countries, Syria or so-called Egypt or whatever. And these people going ham to basically rabble and bring people up against the government and cause confusion and this, and that. So regards to who or what, this has turned into such a farce, basically, that one of the last countries that agreed to this and were in the process of negotiation, coincidentally enough, was Malaysia. The delegates that were on the plane who were going from Malaysia or whatever to do that, these delegates were the ones who were basically going their way to Crimea to negotiate with Putin to basically sell the debt that the United States had been put on them for the humanitarian aid that Malaysia and places like Myanmar and Southeast Asia was getting after they hit them with that HAARP-influenced tsunami that they just made a movie about called The Impossible. You know how they do. Like, whenever they kill somebody or about to kill someone, that's when they come out with these fake movies to kind of, like, show and prove, like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is how the person was. They want to shape the memory or the image that we have of the person. Like they're doing one on Chavez right now. This is the early Chavez before he actually became president and all that. Long story short, they do all of this. They set all of these things in motion. Everything start popping. The Malaysian delegates is basically on their way to Crimea to work out the rest of the deal. And coincidentally, the plane, which was a Boeing 777, now 777 is the number in the Golden Dawn for what Crowley referred to as the Babylon working. Now, that wasn't the name of the number of the actual flight, right? But we're going by the make and then the number of the flight. So based on the make, they already knew that the fix could be in based upon the ritualistic aspect. Now, the funny thing about this, that there's a card, there's a deck called the Illuminati cards. It's Illuminati deck. And what I think is that this deck was created to be a tarot for those people in the know to kind of follow or to kind of predict what events are going to happen next. Because every major event that's happened in this, that has basically happened, has appeared in this deck. From the 9/11 thing to Paul Walker's death to this thing. There's an actual card on it. I believe it's let me get the card. Yes, it's from the Illuminati card. This one, it says early warning. Now, when you look at the actual card, it's coming from the flight plan from Kuala Lumpur all the way over to Crimea, matches exactly the actual early warning card in the Illuminati thing. But in order for you to match it exactly, you got to turn it vertical. And when you look at the landmass and everything, it's the exact position. It's the exact flight plan and position of the plane. So how do they come up with this? See, this is why people think that they God. This is why the average Negro or so-called black people who think that in joining something like this, this so-called cabal, they'll receive some sort of innate mystical power, are missing the point. What this basically says is that all these events that we have lived through have already happened already. And somebody somehow was able to calculate these events and actually put it into a pictorial form, the same way Lady Harris created the tarot for Aleister Crowley. For people who don't know who Lady Harris is, Lady Harris was the wife of the guy who owned Harris Publications that put out Red Book, McCall, this and that, or whatever. It's interesting that this dude, who again was a Freemason and an occultist, put out something, has a magazine called the Red Book, or Red Book, when the Red Book is actually one of the adept books that you would read when you were trying to study the adept knowledge in the Moorish Science Temple of America. So again, everything that we are dealing with, they have found a way to ceremonially put their name on it and make us think that they created it. Because again, anybody that knows any adept knowledge and things like that know that that's one of the key books that you would really go into to be able to commune further with the Prophet as well as the great God Allah. So it's interesting that this tarot deck that they have created, the same way Lady Harris created it for Crowley, she created the deck for him that is used basically in most occult practices in magical orders, such as the Golden Dawn, the Argentium, the Order, the Silver Star, any of these, the OTO, any of these so-called quasi-Freemasonic magical orders. You know, I was watching a Bobby Hemmett joint. Peace be to Bobby, who is one of the only elders that actually really recognized us openly, or recognized me openly, so big up to him. And he was going in on ayahuasca, which we have gone into many times, both by myself as well as a lecture, dissertation we did with the great Brother Daoud. And like I said, Bobby built on it. But what he talked about was the fact that what made Crowley so was that his mission was to permeate or raise the vibrational instance of mutated people, which is why he called himself the Beast, which is why he was so base in everything that he was doing in terms of getting people to ingest and accept his form of bestiality or bestial way of living as a modicum of social evolution. He believed himself to be somebody who was actually going to upgrade the descendants of Yaqub the Caucasoid descendants of Yaqub and put them in a position of one rulership, meaning that they were going to find a way to bring them into not just the human family, but raise their vibration enough that they would be able to commune with our forces again from places like Draco and places like that. So in that, what we have to understand is that he succeeded in the perspective that he was able to modernize ancient Moorish Moorally practices, but also downgrade them to the level that those with no pineal function could assimilate. You see what I'm saying? Through ritual sex magic, through self-possession, through things like that. He found a way to upgrade the mutants. You see what I'm saying? And put the mutants on the same level, if not quasi on the same level as humanity. Also by getting the first proto-humans or the first real humans, meaning the original man and original woman, to forsake their original perspective, their original practices, their original way of life, and supplant it for this new, I would say, bastardized or hybridized version of reality that we call modern civilization. We are all the products of this war that took place between the ancients and the moderns so long ago. But these moderns that we're talking about going to war with, these people became what we perceive Caucasian and later welcomed into the human family later in life. This problem that we had and everything started with us first, amongst us. Therefore, the only people who can switch it up and actually do it right is us. So this has become critical in the thinking. This is what shaped modern thinking about our position in the world from that point on. Meaning that when you talk about Pascal Beverly Randolph today, there were certain people who believed that this man was Caucasian. Especially when you deal with Rosicrucians and all that. They believed that PBR himself wasn't mulatto at all. They try to say, oh, that was just something that we said to include black people in Rosicrucianism. When have racists ever done anything to find a way to include you in something they don't want you to be in? When has that ever happened? I've never seen that happen in reality or fantasy. Therefore, that's just another blind that was created or put out there for people to latch on to move away from the original truth that this man, who is the father of all occultists who were born after him, you understand? After him. We're talking about somebody who really came from nothing, but because he was American royalty, was able to raise himself up to the point that he became Lord of all the Rosicrucians in the world. It's a major accomplishment. But again, you never hear about Pascal Beverly Randolph on Black History Month. Only time you ever heard about that is when you watching, and specifically, only certain people talk about it. Only certain people even build on Randolph like that. They were right there. Only certain people even go in on him like that because a lot of people don't even want to get into that aspect of the society because they want to believe that he was a Caucasian man, that he was somehow, something that he wasn't. They even want you to believe that he was some sort of mulatto when both his parents was black. His mother happened to be a Rosicrucian, a princess from Madagascar. Also, the woman they call H.P. Blavatsky, she was his apprentice by proxy. Because because everybody was basically, because like I said, this guy is the head of all the Rosicrucians in the world. So you have to understand, Western society functions on an occult basis. It does not function on literal secular knowledge. That's just to fool you. That's the blind that's used to make you believe that they are not about all of this mysticism. And because black people are so superstitious and are so easily skittish and spooked by anything that takes them outside of the realm of what they perceive Jesus to be. And that perception of their Lord and Savior is even corrupted and bastardized, where they even know it. But one thing about black folk is that they're very stubborn. They're very hard to be led into the right direction or be told in the right direction, because they like to believe that they are in control of themselves with each other. But let somebody else tell them something that's totally different. You ever have a queen and you building with her and you complimenting her and you bigging her up all the time, but it seemed like she never believed you, but then somebody else come and tell her some shit, and then she be like, word, such and such told me this? That whole mentality, that whole representation represents the fact that there is something innate in us that has been taught not to trust each other. We have almost bred out racial integrity, or the racial integrity in us has almost been so bred out or bleached out that you now have people, celebrities, you now have black women, black men coming in, creating bleaching creams, right, and marketing it to the rest of the world like they using these creams, when really these creams is the agenda set up for somebody else to have. This agenda that's based on self-hatred, and this agenda that's based on a continuous denial of God, manifested in the form of the original man and the original woman, is exactly what is holding up the evolutionary process of the planet. If not the planet, definitely the galaxy, just due to the fact that we are the star people. We, Moors specifically, most of the flags that represent us have stars in them, whether it be the United States flag and the United States of America and General Congress Assembled flag, whether it be the Amaracan flag that represents the Amaracan Empire, that's the red flag with the green star, whether it be the Societas Republicae Americanos Estados flag, which is the green flag with the red star, right? All of these stars represent the fact that we manifest out of which we imitated. That's why Crowley said everybody is a star. That's why Michael Jackson said everybody loves a star. See what I'm saying? That's why they call these people in Hollywood stars, because they're trying to get them to supplant themselves in your memory as those luminary bodies that light up the heavens. No, I have this one. It's the only one I found. He created this system, this perpetual system of self-denial amongst people in their own culture. Thing is that a lot of the Africans, like I said, is in on it. They in on it. As much as people want me to be African, as much as people want me to be this or be that, that's what they do. When the Africans come over here, the first thing they do is tell you that you're not that. They don't hang around you in their communities unless they was too poor to live in their own communities. And then what they do is they live amongst us, or they don't live amongst us, they live in their own communities where they speak their own native languages. And to most degree, separate themselves from us. We don't go to mosque with them. We don't dye our beards red. We don't do that type of stuff. They didn't even do that type of stuff. But they are the most related to us, but we represent the people who came and helped them manifest themselves, meaning that the same way they talk about where or what origin. There is no origin for us. There is no origin story other than the story of creation itself. There is none. We are the origins of that because we are Allah. We are in the mind of Allah. We are the ones who manifested out of the three veils of darkness. So when I say black, I'm not talking about a status or a color or something even Terran per se. And when I say black people, then I'm not even referring to them in the basic mundane sense of what they have been perceived to be. I'm talking to the starlight aspect of you, the part of you that is an eternal being, based upon the fact that you manifested out of where all beings manifest from. Something referred to as a triple stage darkness. If I am born with melanin and you are not born with melanin, then that means we are genetically different. You understand? That means if I am born with melanin, let me say it again, and you are not born with it, think about what I'm saying. That means then that we genetically are different. We are not equal. We're equal in the sense that we both got to do what humanoids do on this density, such as breathe, eat, laugh, cry, things like that. But some of us are actually living that, right? And some of us are mimicking that aspect of life, right? Just because you see a monk, just because you could one day wind up combing your hair, right? And you sitting in front of a monkey. Let's say you go to the zoo, and you go to the zoo, and then you stand in a monkey cage, and then you start combing your hair. The monkey pick up a stick and start acting like it's combing his hair. Then you start to do things like jump up and down. The monkey start jumping up and down. Does that mean that the monkey has the same level of intelligence that you do? You could train a dog to do almost anything but talk. So does that mean that because the dog can go into the refrigerator and pull out a beer and bring you the beer, does that mean that the dog's on the same mental level as you? Think about that. Whenever these people do experiments and shit like that, what do they do it on? They do it on monkeys, right? Monkeys and rats, right? Or rabbits, correct? But when they do these on these things, these rabbits and all that, do you notice that they're always some sort of albino, bleached out rat, some mutated rat or whatever they got to use? Genetic tests on? Don't you know if you shave a gorilla's skin, it ain't black under there? Shave a gorilla's fur or hair, it ain't black, you know. It ain't. The only parts that's black is the face, the hands, the chest, and the feet. Right? So what that means is that this thing that we're calling the monkey or the ape had a precursor to it. See what I'm saying? Back in the days, in the 20s and stuff, during World War I, World War II, they used to make up lies about black men, black soldiers, to stop the French girls from dealing with them. They started making up lies like we had tails. There's even a movie called Soldier Story with Denzel Washington, one of the old, based on the play. And in that movie, they basically go in on that too. But they used to tell people how we had tails and this, and that. I found it. We wasn't the ones born with no tails, man. Everybody in the world know who's born with tails to this day. Everybody know that. They even make movies about it, like Shallow Hal. They had George Costanza playing this dude Born with a Tail. He wound up hooking up with this white girl who had a tail too. And he used to be able to wag it and everything. So, genetically speaking, if you're born with a tail and I'm not, then that means genetically we're different. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm not born with a tail and you are, then we're of a different species, because the archetype that I came from didn't start on a bestial level. As original people, we did not evolve into this. We stepped out of the eternal blackness of the dark, triple stage darkness. We stepped out of that darkness as this. That was our birth. And the original woman, being the manifestation of dark matter itself, was then able to manifest a way for us to now perpetuate and be the gateway that we come through to get even further recesses of knowledge from the physical and the hyper-spiritual plane. That is Bina or Bina in the Kabbalah. Therefore, if the trees got melanin, the roaches got melanin, and the dirt, and the dogs, and the cats, and the lions, and the elks, and the giraffes, and the ants, and the bumblebees, and the plants, and the sunlight, the air itself, the air that you breathe itself got melanin in it. You breathe it in, don't you? And you exhale. So that aspect that you are exhaling outward is a melanated breath that's now going back into the outer universe. That's probably the only reason why we could take more than one breath. The completion is the great work is for God to realize itself as man and man realize itself as God. The key substance in that is what they called in the movie Thor, the Dark World, the ether. And what was it? It was this black, reddish substance that existed in these two black pylons that existed in a higher dimension or a dimension outside of reality. And it was the most powerful force that came from the beginning of the universe. And the people who had jurisdiction over it were people called the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves. And there was a black one and a white one. And the white one sacrificed the black one so the black one could become an ultimate soldier they refer to as Curse, to then fight Thor, the Asgardian. Now, all of these are Moorish myths. The tree of Yggdrasil in Nordic myth, again, which became Celtic myth, which became Hyberian or Hibernian, and was then codified into a branch of people, Freemasons, called the Ancient Order of Hibernians. When you burn something, it becomes black. Name one thing that you see burned that ain't become black after the fire finished. Isn't that what they say? Ain't that what they say Ethiopia mean? Burnt, those of the burnt faces? But we not burnt by the sun, because the sun is a holographic projection of a higher dimension realm that we interface when we transcend this physical body and as Moors go into that ancient eternal, into the city of the sun, or the cities that exist in it. Kabbalic beings. The Merkaba itself is a manifestation of the Mer or the Moor, the Moor's Ka, which is spirit, and Ba, which is body. So Merkaba means the Moor's body and spirit as it transcends and translates into light. Mer also means sea, S-E-A, like Mar, M-A-R-E, and mean sea as well, but it also means more. So on ancient maps, when you see that, this is how it works. This is the time in which the knowledge of God, the knowledge of self that is manifested out of this triple stage darkness that we refer to as light, gets manifested out of those to ascend back to the mother plane. The mother plane is a twofold thing. It's not just necessarily mean the flying saucer. The mother plane also represents the plane of existence of your origin, from which you became, from which you were mothered. In Giza, the king's chamber leads to Sirius. The queen's chamber to Orion. And then the antechamber, which was the second way open, leads to the Pleiades, the system of the seven sisters. It is a big manifestation. It's just that where we're truly from, astrally, genetically, metaphysically, theosophically, we are from the place in the universe that had the giant, biggest central sun. There are what they call choirs of suns. So the sun that you see is anchoring around a black sun that you don't see. And then there are like 11 other suns around that rotate around that. And then outside of that universe, there's another sun where that sun is encircling that one, and there's 11 other ones, and so forth and so on. Therefore, each sun is a manifestation of the ascendancy of those particular places, because suns only exist where there are habitable planets. But there are different zones in terms of those planets. Like we live in a, let's say, yellow sphere zone. Then there's like a red zone where certain planets, the sun gives off a red hue. Then there are the UV worlds. The UV worlds are literally what they are, ultraviolet worlds, like what you see in Avatar. That's where the vegetation and the people are basically like giants. Whoever comes from the place with the biggest sun technically are then the biggest people, you see, and are seen universally as that. They are the universal aspects of the triple stage darkness. So we, being the fact that we came from Sirius A, B, and C, we then are the people, the ones that are the head of all the intergalactic federations, the knights of the solar realm or whatever. Again, Il and Bay are manifestations of the Ka and the Ba. They are the same principle. Therefore, when we talk about Moorish nationality, we are talking about a hyperdimensional cosmic nationality, meaning that other people from other beings come here and look for the ills. Didn't they show you that in Superman? These niggas shut the whole planet down and said, look, unless you produce Kal-Il, the ill, we're going to shut the whole planet down and not come out. So he had to manifest himself, right? Don't he have the red Moorish flag on his back? Sirius A is white, meaning that it's so dark that the darkness transcends into a dark light, so it come off white. But there's an aspect of it, and that's only on the visual realm of that dimension. But to be in that dimension, you have such a high realm. Can you imagine that there's even a higher realm than that, in which you see the sun in its true color, which is black? Then Sirius B is red, Sirius C is blue. So, of course, the Moors in America made their flag red, white, and blue when it was in the General Congress assembled under the national regular government. The national general meaning the top, not meaning everybody. That's how they put on you. The general government represented the government run by the generals. The generals, or the generalissimos, were the Moors. the private citizens who put up the money for the first United States bonds? How could these people who were slaves in England, they had no money because they was paying George, how could they put up money for bonds for a country that technically, if they supported, they could be killed in for being traitors against the crown? You can't do that. So who put the money up for them? The private citizens of what if there was no United States at this time? It couldn't be the private citizens of the colonies because they could not be citizens of anything else other than the colony because that was the only thing there for them. How could Thomas Jefferson create words that say all men are created equal when he, according to their history, was sleeping with slaves that was his children? So it's okay for the white man to be a hypocrite, right? To be such a hypocrite that you base a whole country on it. Right? But then if you do something like that, make a mistake, support the wrong person, then it's like you damn forever. But these niggas built a whole country off of this lie. He didn't write that. How could he write something like that when he himself was a damn slave of England? All men are free and created equal. All men are. You see what I'm saying? But when I say man or men, I'm speaking of men and women. When these dudes be saying man or men, they talking about individuals. They talking about white men. But when I say white, I'm talking about WIGHT white, because that type of white man is the one that's running things now, or acting like he's running it. But really what's running it is the overall confusion of all the people on the planet and everybody's cosign of not acknowledging the original man and woman in true capacity by allowing them to have their own nation, their own creed, their own constitution, their own perspective. Elijah Muhammad ain't never talk about integrating in society and being a part of a political party. Nobody at least never said we were supposed to start our own political party in the United States. He never said that. Malcolm X never said that we were supposed to live and be in harmony with all white people. He never did that. They created all that stuff about him after he died, like they did with King. So when you look at pictures now of Martin Luther King that's doing his speech, behind him, you see all these dudes wearing these small white caps. Those was Prince Halls coming into the Moorish science through the Nation of Islam. Look at this clown. Through the Nation of Islam. That was their little baby fezzes. That's what they used to wear back then, because that also is the customary headgear of those Masons under the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite. Look at it. See, the thing is, Masons don't know their history, man. These niggas that talk about all that, wear all of that, G and all of that, like, come on, man. You're using the symbol of your thing is that my ancestors used to circumnavigate the universe, civilize the devil, civilization. And now you mean to tell me that in order for me to use that, I come in through an inferior system that was not made for people of my genetic heritage, genetic character? Earthly beings, and there were transliteral beings that could travel from the earth to the higher realms and all of that. And those that were able to do that back and forth and travel at such a diverse and hyper velocity speed and all that, they were of a certain vibration and a certain hue and archetype, phenotype. That happened to be the original man and original woman. What they have made you believe is that the reason why you look the way you look, the reason why you have, quote, unquote, European features or aquiline features or want to have straight hair, this or that, they're trying to make you think that because the white man came to you and did so much raping of your women and your ancestors that you have his blood in it. But even if you did, his gene is still pineal recessive. Therefore, whatever could not dominate what it is he was implanting it into. It could only genetically create the archetype by which the dominant genetics then would take over. So then it would only be about a psychological or mental thing that would allow the melanin to either enhance or decrease after the archetype is made. Meaning, if you hate yourself, if he was really wanting to come back as a black man, which they all do, him injecting himself into this black woman now is mixing with her ideology, whether or not she have knowledge of herself enough to know that she is the dominant. So if not, she is now the generator, the creation engine that creates what it's going to be in terms of pigmentation. This is old Yakub science. So therefore, if she want to be lighter, guess what the baby going to be? Unless the ancestors, God steps in and creates the exact opposite of both of them, the total blue-black, which is the throwback genetic, to then show both of them how much they tripping. But then it's allowed to deal, now we got to deal with the ramification of what society says about somebody born of that hue. This war on color is not a war on color at all. It is a war against God. That's who they really trying to bleach out. That's who they really trying to cut and plastic surgery, implant ass and all that into. That's what's really going on. They're trying to bleach God out because whatever they do to you, they doing to God, because God is the black man, black woman, black's child. At least to me. Because who was last shall be first, and who was first shall be last. So, again, in terms of my genetics and what I've been able to deduce by going into the spirit realm, the quote-unquote mother plane and wherever else, as well as research and all that, I don't come from Africa. I come from North Africa. And when you do these DNA tests and the word North Africa come up on you, black man, they're going to make you believe that they thinking about Morocco over there when they not. They talk about over here because this is North Africa. North, Central, and South America. Africa, meaning the farthest west. But no, if you don't know knowledge of yourself, if you don't know who the Moors, if you don't know you're that, then you're going to believe that you're some sort of Berber. Everybody else got other genetics in them but you. You the only one that's the pure human. We are the archetype that all the other ones came out of. It's reverse. When you read the Antediluvian World, there's a book called The Antediluvian World that talks about the black god scientists of Atlantis and the destruction of everything coming from the manifestation of the anti-life form. Think about it. Everything in the universe, everything got melanin in it. They even have melanin aspects in them, but they can't access it because they don't have no pineal function. At the base of your medulla oblongata is where all of that melanin juice and stuff is. That's why they did the experiment, and it transliterates or migrates itself through Jacob's ladder, which is the 33 degrees of the 33 lumbar up and down the spine that goes to the base of your spine, which is where they used to suck out the spinal fluid during the Tuskegee experiment. But when they sucked it out, they had to put something in there. So what did they put in there? They put arsenic and mercury and all that in it, and wanted then to see how the melanin would think, because these men didn't die. They was bugging because they see how they started to monitor how generationally, this is in the book Bad Blood, how generationally the melanin, the body of the people they put this in was still with their children and were able to live, that it somehow transmuted itself, and they found ways to live with it. So the more extreme things they do to melanated beings, the more they're trying to test the parameters and the limits of what they can do to God. This is part of the agenda. This is their great work. Our great work is the opposite. We are it. They are the manifestations of what it would be if it wasn't it. Right. What is it? It closed or something?
No, it didn't close. Huh. I opened it, and this is where it started. It's okay. You're on it.
Okay. Can you click the other arrow to see if you go back?
I don't know what it's going back
to. When you click on either one of these, nothing happens.
It's okay. It's nothing to do with you. I was on Facebook.
So this is what it boils down to, but I had to figure it out. This is what it boils down to because they don't really know how we are going to deal with that perspective, how things return and how they maintain themselves. Okay. I want to keep talking, Brad. Okay. Okay. So this is basically what happens, you know. This substance that everybody wants to hold and act like is not there is the one thing that's binding everything together. Doesn't that sound like black people to you? It just so happens that that also represents dark matter and dark energy. That one represents the black man, the other represents black woman. But, you know, to fully realize that as truth would then mean that they would finally be able to see it as an actual substance. But because they know that it's us and all of that, for them to actively admit that, then break the spell that they have over everything. So in essence, they'd rather harvest it from an ignorant body than help raise the ignorance of that being imbued with it, by which they could transcend their station and actually commune and not go into a bestial realm after they pass away. Because according to A.E. Powell, they don't have souls. And based on most of the inhuman stuff that they've been doing and convinced Negroes to do, it would make sense. They know it. Why do you think they're so driven to extreme, flirt with disaster? No other people in the world does that because they are the ones who are the most deprived. They never were humans. They didn't go through a phase of ruling and all of that. They took that because they knew it was never going to be given to them. And those Moors who prepared them to take it on and work it were at so a dire straits with their own people. There was nobody amongst their own people that was going to be loyal enough to do it. That says a lot. It's kind of like what's going on today. I have millions of these rap dudes and these people watch my DVDs and quote aspects of it in they raps and shit, but they're not going to give me no shout out. You understand? Because they want their checks to keep coming because they have chosen another side. So, of course, Jay-Z is going to team up with this nigga Electronica all of a sudden and make some shit about Yakub and this and that. Of course, they're going to talk about that now because he's down with Yakub, this dude Jay-Z, and Jay is over there copulating, having sex with Yakub through direct Yakubite, the Rothschild daughter, who's an illegitimate Rothschild by marriage. She's not even full blood like that. You dig what I'm saying? So of course they could talk about it now. Because we out here bombing on them. We out here keeping it real, and we in the field. Only now they're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So this is now all played out in the basic sense now that all of these countries, that one of the other countries that agreed or wanted to buy out and take this Russian type of deal was what's this dude? What are these people? Iraq. The Iraq thing. I know.
Sorry, I can't do anything else ever when I'm included. I follow my routine and what I do every week. This is what people like to do.
So it becomes a almost natural disaster amongst our people who have created this window of insecurity that has never ceased to amaze any of us with common sense. Because the stuff that these people have devolved to, we have devolved. Understand? We've devolved almost to such a level where there's no way for us, well, not us, but there's almost no way for everybody to basically be saved or even save themselves, because they've almost reached a level of depravity that is almost beyond reason. Yet Allah says if you take one step towards Him, He takes 2 steps to you. Therefore, there is a way out for those people, but in order to receive the prayer of release and absolution, people who are down with these pseudo-magical orders and Freemasonic this and all of that, they got to submit. They got to go to a real Moor who knows the right of absolution and prayer of release to be able to, allow them to get out of that contract with you know who. This is the wages of sin, per se, for people and for beings to continue or find new ways of revolution, because there's no other way for them to organize a reality which is anything else. So the ultimate stigma becomes whether or not people are going to accept what is to come or accept what it is they have created their world or whatever to be, which in most cases isn't something of substance. You know what I'm saying? So the Ukraine thing is basically going to evolve into a further dispensation of Russian land grabbing, which is going to fuel the fire of the United States retaliating by trying to formally take Syria or move to sanction Russia. Once an open sanction against Russia goes down, that's not going to be good, because that's basically a first declaration of war. But remember, the United States hasn't declared war on anybody since World War I. You know what I mean? And even that, they ain't really come into exactly why, and why the killing of the Archduke Ferdinand. That was never really explored and has not really been explored in such things. There's been different exposés written on it, but it's never been fully accurate enough for you to really give any real adequate attention to, Become a battle of wits almost. And the United States is basically at its wit's end because it can no longer upgrade its credit rating without going to war. And now that it can't call in the note of certain countries, it's going to get even worse for it. The only thing it can do is plunge itself into some sort of color war. So those of us that actually have a multinationalistic point of view but are mainly patriots of our original country, we know that we have an alternative. Yet, unless you are from some other African nation that has passport or political asylum or whatever, there may be no guarantee that you'll be able to, bounce out. This is why certain things have opened up. Like I said, the Spanish government all of a sudden just came back on February 7th, like the Circle 7, and just basically say, yo, anybody that's Sephardic Jew or descended from those Moors that got kicked out, you have you can petition for the right of return. We've been talking about this on the show and in classes for over 5 years now. And all the Moors think about that. But all of that positive thinking, all of classes, all of that energy built up into the fact of what has now manifested for us. So now you got a way out. That's a way out for you. But again, most of these black people are going to tell you, the Moors was enslaving you and they this and they, and that's true. But so was they. You would not have no Kemite, no Israelite. You wouldn't have none of that knowledge of that stuff if it wasn't for Moorish people swinging scimitars and wearing feathers and turbans and jewels and all of that, taking this everywhere. You wouldn't have it. No science that's promoting itself to be science today would exist if it wasn't for us, because we were the last paradigm before this bullshit. Sorry, we were. And we were the culmination of all that. The Bektashi Sufis and all of that is to me, is Egyptian from North and West Africa and East Africa. The kingdom was always split between the East and the West. That's just how we did it. Isn't that how it is now? Didn't you have an East Coast, West Coast war? Remember that? Didn't this dude just call himself King of New York, but he's from L.A., right? But he came here and did a show. Ain't nobody stop him. Ain't nobody step to him, right? But he could do that in this era. I came from the era where, rappers was getting murdered, man. They was murdering rappers. You would get killed. Matter of fact, came across this. Brandon Mitchell, a rapper with arrested effect was shot to death in 1990, about age 20, during an argument over a woman. Rapper Michael Robertson, a.k.a. Mac, was shot dead in Vallejo, California in about 1990 while sitting in his car with his pregnant girlfriend. He was about 20 years old. Charisma, rapper with Peanut Butter Wolf, was shot to death in 1993, age 20. Dia Dame, rapper with Damian Dame, died in a car crash in 1994 at age 35. Fourth member of the Graveyard Shift, Little Boo, the caretaker, was murdered in a drive-by shooting as he jumped in front of his younger cousin to shield him. Eric Eazy-E Wright, one of the founders of gangster rap, died of AIDS. He's the first one to see that actually died of something quasi-natural, right? Even though we know that they shot him with the AIDS bullet. There's plenty of books you can get on that. Get the book, The Conspiracy Against Rock. They went in on that. Rapper Hitman Ricky Hurd of RBL Posse, Ruthless by Law, died after being shot 9 times. Like there's a website I came across. It was called all the rappers that got killed, and you see this pattern, one after the next, shootings. You know what I'm saying? Car crashes, and then like a disease, and then like some sort of drug overdose. But only 2 drug overdoses they said was Pimp C and DJ Screw. But everybody that's been drinking lean and all of that since it's been out, other than Screw, who you know then died from it? Other than Pimp C, who you know then actually died from it, in the point of like how rapidly these people went, when allegedly this is part of their natural process. So their body has assimilated this narcotic to a certain degree to create a dependency. Therefore, it was not killing them. They was not going to the hospital for it prior to it happening. So what about this lean today? What was in this Sprite that was different from the Sprite he used the night before in the hotel room, allegedly by itself? Jim Morrison, Janis Joplin, Mama Cass. Like it just goes on and on. You know, all of these people. But they're also not dealing with the fact that there's this huge pockets of this black substance that's under these 7 pyramids that's right on the coast of Crimea, where the plane was going in line with, that allegedly disappeared, that now they're saying done crashed somehow. Even when they show you the wreckage of the plane crash, it's not going to be from that plane. It can't be. This is a whole other thing. That was to stop these people from taking this deal that's going to make the United States have to come up with more money. You know what I'm saying? Like, they not doing. They're not doing none of that. You know, like all of this is coming from different kingdoms and so-called perspectives that have nothing to do with the overall concept of what's going on. And what's going on is these people is working to create an agenda through people. This chick, Denicia, the the brain dead pop star who's got the white initials, bleaching cream and all that. She's not even a human. She's not even alive. That person is not even a real being. You understand? That's somebody who is purposely created as an agenda to get other females to jump on because they know women are weak. And I'm not saying that to diss women, women are strong. I'm not saying that. But in the end, y'all can be influenced quicker than dudes, man. Because women recruit other women through ideas. They recruit them through status and material things. They break down and work peer pressure to imbue eating disorders and shit in other women. Like women really go in on each other. So the undercurrent is we can use the fact that she is filled up with all of this and then get her to co-sign all of this other stuff. Just by her not being present in her mind enough to see how she's being manipulated. Now that we did Truth Be Told and we went in on Lupita, now they're trying to make this chick look like she, is mad black and all of that. Of course they're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? But the essence of that says that also is a manifestation of the control. The fact that because these images that they've created for us are so mundane now and so just belittling that it's almost a matter of course that people just, you already know these people, anybody who make movies like that has such a degree of self-hatred in them. You have to. It's not about exploring the character because that was not our story. You people who you call yourself African American who was born here, who family got Indian in them and all of that, that wasn't your story, man. Not all of it, not all of y'all. You fell into this late. You was part of the ruling class. That's why they buried you up with everybody else that they imported in here and then made it so that way you couldn't come back into your government. You represent those black people who in the movie Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis, he is a scene in it when they're about to argue the 13th Amendment or 14th Amendment. All these black people walk out on the balcony, standing above all the white people, and they say, "Welcome back to your house." And it's men and women. Who is they? If they were slaves and all that, how could they sit higher than white people? Because they represent the original constituency that was blocked out. and could no longer vote in it due to the fact that we were the ones who set it up for it. Once you create the preschool, you don't go in and act as a student. You move on. Yeah, we only understand history through a slave's eyes. That movie was totally different than Django. Django was about American slavery. 12 Years of Slavery was about African slavery. American slavery is totally different. That's you being kidnapped and lumped in with people that you see in 12 Years a Slave, them people who don't speak your language. And you got to bring them up to speed and let them know that they actually have a history and a people too. And then you got to battle the white man who know who and what you are, but he got to act like you just as lowly as the rest of them. That's the science we dealing with. That's the family that Justin Timberlake and these niggas come from, George Clooney and these niggas. That's the people that they be building with. That's where they come from. So when you see these white women and you see these black women just so quick to just run with these white boys and do this and all of that, and you see these black men doing the same thing, you're looking at an agenda. That's not a choice. That's what you got to do when you get up in them circles, because that's how they maintain their loyalty and their control over you. Not every time that these dudes have babies with these women and all of that, they want to. They have to. That's part of the script. You are told that. Why you think certain women always date the same dudes? Or everybody date each other? Because they write in bloodlines. They trying to ensure a certain type of breed, a certain type of nobility, of bastard nobility, that you only get into once you break that so-called fourth wall and get to the point where you have more people noticing you than not. Then it's like, oh, okay, now we're going to welcome this dude. Now you get everything free. You have to pay for everything for it. Now you get everything free. Oh, we got to welcome this dude. We got to embrace him. We got to bring him in. Nah, man. Once you get to that level of the game and all that, and you got your knowledge yourself in your own country and your own nationality, you can go into that. Not if you're a Negro, though. Why you think every picture that Kanye do with Kim Kardashian now, this dude Seth Rogen and James Franco is always imitating them on some gay shit? Why is he or they targeted like that? How come we do that with Beyonce and Jay-Z? What's the difference? You know the difference. It's hierarchy. It's the amount of ass kissing and self debasement that you put in to get to that level. None of these people is real, man. They can't be. Unless they hollering at you or me, they not. They can't be. Or once they get on, they stay away. I know all these niggas. Dante, Debra, I know all these niggas, man. These niggas don't mess with me like that. They know. They know, son. That's why you got to create your own lane. Your own lane. When you got your own lane, people can't tell you that you're not what you are. But then when your lane consists of something that has been around, which is the first Islamic organization was founded by the Prophet. The reason why you could even be a Muslim in this country is because of Noble Ali. And a Christian. And a Jew. The only reason why you could do that is because of him. He's the one who made the Christian preachers become Moors, join his adept, and then go back and start replacing the pictures of the white Jesus with black Jesus and all that. Start talking about Jesus and the prophets on a equal level of equality. He the reason why, because most of the preachers at that time was in the temple on Fridays, and then we're going to church on Sundays and then build on the real. He was getting them niggas out of that whole masonry stuff. Because all that stuff is garbage, man. That stuff has nothing to do with what your ancestors left for you. Muslim customary law trump all of that. All of that. Muslim customary law trump all that. Muslim customary law was seen as its own aspect of law. Aside from Roman law, had nothing to do with it. Because we were the ones, the Muslims, the Moors, the descendants of the Carthaginians were the ones who conquered Rome, formed the Holy Roman Empire. Real talk. It became a science of getting rid of Moors. And anytime a real Moor manifested, finding ways to ostracize them. This is what they do. This is what they did with us. This is what they still do. It's the black people coming to you telling you today that you don't exist as a Moor. But it's the Spanish saying if you are a Moor, though, that's the only way you as a black could get some type of soccer citizenship. So if shit do pop off here, go somewhere as what these niggas in this country saying that you can't be. So the Spanish government recognized it. The British government recognized it. Right? Everybody else recognized it, right? But the U.S. and the U.S.-owned property Negroes that want you to believe that you're everything else, that everything else is somehow better or on par when all of it fits within the very scope of society left for you to inherit. That's the only way out. Through the very same temple. I don't necessarily mean the temple like just the Moorish Science Temple as a building or an organization. I mean the aspect of the temple that is the theocratic aristocracy of Clan Mawayati, Elam Bay, that descend out again of the triple stage darkness over 66 trillion years ago and actualized as flesh, as men, as Shayuk, which became Shaykh, and then Sheikh, and then Sheikh, who dwelt in Shechem-Exum, known as Atlantis, in the supercontinent known as Pangea, who crossed over the rivers and eventually became Hebrews, the rivers of the mind and the seas of the reality, who incarnated out of the Syrian dynasties to bring forth a better life for those other beings who would come to learn about how to redo their civilizations based upon all the war and shit that they incarnated from. Africans deal with tribalism. We deal with customs over here. The customs of the Bloods is different than the customs of the Crips, man. That's customary shit. That's not tribal shit. They not killing each other because this one was a Hutsu and this one was a Tutsi. No. They're killing each other based upon the customary variances that were instilled in them during the time in which all of the real leadership of the founding of the organization was dead, in jail, or kidnapped. And then the dirty Moors, through the Freemasonic pimps and these niggas, started allowing the COINTELPRO shit to come in, and eventually they start warring with one another based on customs. How you wear the flag, how you rock the dickie, how you wear the shirt, how you write the set. That ain't tribal. Tribal shit is ancestral beef. Them Africans is consumed in that. We're the only ones that can absorb them. Just like they're the only ones that can come clean with us and let us know the real. They got a name for you. They call it kata. Same way the white man got the word nigger for you, and then the Mexican got what's the Mexican word? It's not negrito. It's a more derogatory joint. It'll come to me. Like nigger, whatever. The Africans got a kata. It's like cotton picker, like dirty American nigger. You know what I'm saying? That's what they be calling you when you be walking by sometimes and all of that. Everybody got words for you. Everybody got little names for you. Jamaicans got names for you. Haitians got names for you. Just like you got names for them. But they come over here and pop their shit off. You don't. Because you at the beck and call. You've been made trustee of your own estate. And you don't know how to put yourself back in head and make trustees of your estate. You don't know how to do that. Because ain't nobody taught you how to do that. The only person in history to ever teach you how to do that was Noble Jew Ali. Garvey told you how to, he told you aspects of it. Selassie hinted at aspects of it. King, Malcolm, all these people, everybody came after, gave you hints. But he was the only one that came through and said, look, do this, do that, do this, they're going to leave you alone. Ain't no nigga told you that. Ain't no nigga going to tell you that. That's not what's under home office, home rule. These people are not functioning for real, for real. So now that there's actually real more, that's alive, that's really doing the work. Like, I'm seeing it. Somebody on Facebook created a T-shirt that say what? Selena what? Says some shit. It's a pink shirt that say Selena knows.
Basically, it was my idea, and I'm thankful for it, but I'm right with on the shirt.
Yeah, it basically was a thing that, something like that. It's a Selena thing. You wouldn't understand. That's what it say. It's a Selena thing. You just wouldn't understand. But the thing about that is, she would never say that.
My statement would say, it's a Selena thing. Let's understand together.
Her statement would be, it's a Selena thing. Let's understand together. Either way, the point is, that's not fiction by her. She's the only Selena I know on Facebook that has a presence of such, like the Empress or how she do. So I know. So whoever's making this shirt is making guap and is not cutting in. It's not like niggas is doing it like, yo, I'm going to set this up so that way you guys can have money. We're going to put that to the temple or whatever. I'm going to do all that for you as a thing. No, they're not doing that. They ain't talking about nobody else. They're not talking about the Taino singer, Selena. They're not talking about her. It spelled like Selena, so I already know. So within the sound of my voice, whoever's doing that, just know, if you don't break bread and you don't come through on some real ancestor shit, the shit we dealing with now, homie, it's not going to be good. We have mighty forces at our aid that will roll through quick and shut that whole shit down because it's not cool. At least that's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? So anybody with real knowledge on that, please email me at houseofella@hotmail.com so we can get to the root of it. Because, again, it's spelled the same way, and we already know what's hood. I'm tired of people in mainstream and in our own community trying to make money off us and not support the real work we're trying to do. We doing the great work. These other niggas is playing. They playing with you. They masturbating with you. These niggas don't want to see nothing real. They don't want to. When the real ancestors show up, these niggas gonna be speechless because they're gonna be right there with the white man, getting vamped out and moved away because they playing with this knowledge. Niggas is playing with stuff, and when you believe in things that you don't understand, man, and you playing with this ancestral knowledge, you playing with the prophet, you playing with these shit like it's just some regular shit like this that the white man made up. No. It's not. The only person who thinks is not even a fool, because fools can rise out of ignorance, is a traitor. You have direct traitors that's out here spouting all of this, black that. You really want to be black? You really want to be revolutionary? You really want to die for the movement? How many people are willing to live for it? To really live the principles of what the movement is. A lot of these niggas be on some extra foul screaming on the white man, hate this, hate that, hate niggas, hate hate women, hate all of this, because they can't sit down with some devil, black or white, and force them to capitulate on the grounds of an ecclesiastical doctrine that's not backed by falsehood. Niggas can't do that. You're not ready to go back into the triple stage darkness through the penance stair. Why you think the white man used to say, don't eyeball me? Because he came from an instance where we would stare into his eyes and shut him down the same way you do a dog. That ain't hate, that's the truth. Ask them about the pits of Saleh. Ask them about the dungeons of Salamanca. They know about all that. You don't. You don't remember that. You don't demand to put yourself in positions where you see yourself in your original position, how it was, how it really was. You don't want to see yourself like that, because then you'd have to be that. And most niggas just want to get paid. They don't know. They know about the Straits of the Dardanelles and the walls that you built into the mountains. Nigga, that's still there. You don't know. You don't. So you can't hate on people who do. You can't come and expect, oh, well, you didn't go through my in-depth chamber, so I don't really consider, I don't give a damn what you consider me. You take what I'm saying? Supreme Grand Sheikh told me that a lot of my lessons is in these adept chambers that's being done now. Islam. Where do you think they getting half of this shit from? Nobody can do what I do, just like I can't do what Bobby did or what Daoud did. I can only be a fulfillment, if anything, of that, by understanding the best of both and synthesizing that, but not relying on that as the basis of my whole outlook on scholastic material. That cannot be. We are here to be more than we was before. And Bobby and Daoud bigged up the Moors, bigged up Noble Jew Ali. Now you got niggas trying to talk about them. Now they trying to get great men like Booker T. Coleman to come on and build and shit. But again, man, the temple of God is within. And a lot of times these dudes dirty and clean themselves up with black soap. You know what I mean? It basically boils down to just that the time has come where everything is open up. They already started their World War V. I call it World War V. They would say World War III gambit, that they want to eventually result into the inundation of water into the Midwest to fulfill Edgar Casey's prophecy. The flooding, through the flooding of the Hoover Dam, by linking that also with some sort of so-called strike at New York or whatever, for some false flag nuke shit, which then cuts the country off from the eastern and the west or whatever, and then have them rezone it and try to run everything. Those of us that's Moors, we have alternatives. Our temple is already creating its own alternatives for such an event. And inshallah, that will manifest under the protection of the great God Allah. Yet, God helps those who help themselves. So you help yourself by, when you know better, you do better. So even if it ain't us, hook up with somebody and understand what nationality is. At least for yourself, because that's what's happening. It's a war of nations. This was happening in the Bible. This is why you got to have and be in an ecclesiastical district or jurisdiction that allows you to understand these things as they really are, not some church shit. 501c3 affiliated cannot give you direct information as to such how to do that, because they are bound by 501c3 code to not speak against the government. We wouldn't be speaking against the United States government anyway. Everything I say is not in contravention to the United States government, because it is already, according to its own tarot deck, the Illuminati card, has already played out how it's going to destroy itself. So I'm really speaking of something that's already destroyed. You see what I'm saying? I'm speaking really of it in the past tense. You dig? So, in essence, we're talking about the overall redistribution of wealth. And it can only be through the Moors. So, those of us that's real is going to be separated from those of us that ain't. Already started. Our temples already got raided in Atlanta. I heard a well-known lecturer got raided as well. And it wasn't me. So, inshallah, they will be spirited out of their tribulation, whatever that is. But in the meantime, in between time, you work your thing, I work mine. You know what I'm saying? So, people want to holler at us at houseofl@hotmail.com. Anybody has any information on this T-shirt that's going around on Facebook talking about Selena, please hit me up, because we're about to start serving her and David Beckham and all the rest of these people that's trying to use aspects of her image now all of a sudden to pop they shit off, right? So, again, always using Moorish energy, stuff, Moorish ideas, right, but not giving credit. This white man give credit to people who don't even exist. He makes people to give credit to hide and conceal the fact that it was really your ancestors that did it. You just keep feeding, not giving nobody nothing back, not helping support the people that's giving you the direct parables of how to manifest this thing and transcend out, God forbid. If you don't say generator, operator, destroyer before you leave, say abracadabra. Either one is going to take you and line you up, man. But we would know that. We don't know that. Anybody want to donate? You can donate to dukeoftears@gmail.com. The more the merrier. And every little bit helps. Anybody wants to check out cookingmorewithless.com, also www.sagasar.com, also www.blackmambaworkouts.com. Check out those. Support the homie. Also check out Truth Be Told every Wednesday, Thursday, around every Wednesday or Thursday on YouTube. Thanks for the support. Please keep sharing. Let's make it as big as possible, because we really working to show people that we're more than what they think we are. And there's a lot of good things coming behind that. You know what I mean? So, inshallah, the more support we get, the more we can make it happen and speak for you. There's a whole contingent of original people in this country that people don't even know about. They don't even know we really exist like that, and we've been here for over 100 years. You know how much clout that is that we ain't even used yet? But we can't do it unless we're doing it right. So, again, man, holler at your boy about any of the topics and the things we were talking about tonight. All praise is due to the prophets. All praise is due to the ancestors. All praise is who are girdling the earth through the ionosphere. All praise is due to all of the witnesses of the time to come, in which we will be welcomed back all over the world as what we are. That image that you saw when I say that means that it's already happened. So regardless of what's happening now, they could nuke themselves to whatever. There's still going to be a time where we get what we deserve. And our Syrian aspect and the Syrian aspect of our blood and the hyperdimensional aspect of us that exists in Virgo supercluster and beyond exists when you take on that EOA in the name that your mother and your father gave you, because when you honor thy father and thy mother, you honor the days and the land and are received of the land of the Lord thy God giveth thee, that reign in the kingdom of heaven forever. So, inshallah, this broadcast is through, and it reaches as far as we said and even beyond that, to call forth and bring them in faster, that we may rise to the point that we crescendo and move it into a level where we can really make it happen. But to do that, we got to start with love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. How simple the man made it. So, inshallah, until that day. It's been Super Heru Radio. Again, if you want to donate, dukeoftears@gmail.com. Inshallah, we out.